Please refer to the Safe Harbor slide of our presentation for guidance concerning certain forward-looking information we may discuss today, including the proposed transaction with Zoom and instructions on how to find additional information about the transaction.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for your patience. We're about to start the session here. We'll just give it just one more second. We have people still entering the room here. Okay, I think we're at a quorum. I'll turn this over to Beatrice, your host today, and thank you all very much for attending. We appreciate you taking the time and joining us today. Beatrice?
Yes, thank you very much too. Thank you everyone joining this session. So the name of this session, to make sure you're joining the right one, is how the intersection of UCaaS and CCaaS is fueling the total experience. So before we start, I have to cover the Five9 Safe Harbor, and I'm going to read you one little sentence. You can refer to the Safe Harbor slide of our presentation for guidance concerning certain forward-looking information we may discuss today, including the proposed transaction with Zoom and instruction on how to find additional information about the transaction. All right, this is our standard statement. So any questions, I'm sure you can refer to the CX Summit organization, and they have more information about this. All right, let me dive into the agenda. So we will be covering brief introductions of our speakers today, and we want to thank them very much for joining us. Then we will have Blair Pleasant cover a few slides on the top level UCaaS and CCaaS trends that she's seeing in the industry. We will then turn over to have our two guests explain what their companies have been doing with Five9 to integrate UCaaS and CCaaS. And then we will open it up for your questions. So get ready. All right. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Beatrice Casanova. I'm a Senior Director of Product Management, and my team delivers the UC integrations between Five9 and our UC partners. We also have with us today, and we're very happy to have her, Blair Pleasant. Blair is President and Principal Analyst of COMMfusion. She is a frequent guest of Five9, so some of you probably are already very familiar with Blair. Again, thank you very much, Blair. We also have two of our customers joining us today. We have Joni Dean from Vibrant, and Joni will be speaking to the Vibrant integration with Five9 and Microsoft Teams. And then we have Ryan McMahon, who is Director of Sales Operations and Linear Financial Technologies, and whose company has integrated their Five9 contact center with Zoom Phone. All right, so moving on to the slides, and I will turn over to Blair to give us a really good grasp of the UCaaS and CCaaS industry and the convergence of the two.
Great, thank you, Beatrice. So I just want to start with some level setting before we talk about trends, because I found that sometimes there's confusion between UCaaS and CCaaS. So UCaaS, Unified Communications as a Service, basically provides UC capabilities, voice, telephony, messaging, chat, present status, conferencing, collaboration, and whatever else, all with a single user interface delivered as a service or on a subscription base. And basically, UCaaS brings together all the business communication capabilities into one platform with a unified interface. Now, CCaaS, of course, includes all the traditional contact center capabilities that we know and love, again, delivered from the cloud with a subscription-based model. So whereas CCaaS targets contact center users, UCaaS targets basically general business users. And UCaaS is aimed at improving and streamlining internal business communications and collaboration, while CCaaS focuses on customer experience and increasing customer satisfaction. And looking at it in terms of market size, For the global UCaaS market, I've seen numbers from around 14 billion up to 39 billion in terms of revenue. So I believe that by the end of 2021, it'll be closer to around 16, 17 billion, somewhere around there. For the CCaaS market, the numbers are range from around 3 billion to 6 billion. And again, by the end of 2021, I expect it to be somewhere around 5 billion. And for now, cloud contact centers represent only about 20, 25, or maybe 30% penetration of the total contact center market. So the market is really, there's so much opportunity out there, and the market really is quickly growing as companies transition to the market. And unfortunately, but thanks to COVID, both markets really are accelerating. With the need to support remote workers and business continuity. And companies that hadn't already moved to the cloud before COVID really started moving up their plans. So instead of migrating to the cloud in say 2 to 4 years, they realized that they have to do it much sooner. So we're seeing a really big push to cloud services right now for both UCaaS and CCaaS. Beatrice, next slide. So in terms of trends, what's happening now is that UCaaS and CCaaS are starting to come together and converge. And this is something I've been talking about for many years, but thanks to the cloud, things really are accelerating, which I'm just thrilled about. So what this means is that contact center agents can get access to traditional unified communication features like present status, messaging, video, and more. So there are lots of trends and drivers that are helping with this. So first, now that companies recognize the importance of the customer experience in CX, they're trying to find ways to enhance that CX. So customer care isn't any longer just the responsibility of the contact center. And a lot of organizations are taking a more expansive view in order to provide better service to customers. And I loved what Rowan talked about with bridging that island of contact center to the mainland. I thought that was just brilliant. And that's what we've been seeing. And it's a really great way of looking at it. So with integrated UCaaS and CCaaS, contact center agents can find a subject matter expert or someone within the organization who can provide a deeper level of knowledge and expertise. So the agent can view their present status to see if they're available, and then send a quick instant message or a chat to ask a question and get information to help solve the customer's issue while still having that interaction with the customer. So the customer doesn't have to spend time, repeating themselves and, asking questions again. Excuse me one second. Sorry about that. So this really helps the agent, get the information for the customer, and it provides that first contact resolution that customers are looking for. So, for an example, an agent may need to reach out to a product specialist to answer a technical question about a product. Or it could be that there's a new promotion, but the contact center agents weren't told about it, so they need to reach out to somebody in marketing to get some information. So there's lots and lots of use cases for this. So one trend that I'm seeing that's driving to all this is that contact center agents have to deal with a lot more complex or urgent issues right now than in the past. A lot of the basic questions are being handled through self-service and AI. So the questions that now go to the agents are a lot more complex, and they really require an agent who can get the information to solve the problem. And because AI is handling more of the basic questions and inquiries, about 20 to 30% of interactions now need some sort of outside help beyond the contact center. So with that integrated UC and contact center, the agents can reach out to the subject matter experts to get the information they need without making the customer wait a long time. Also, we're seeing a big focus on both the customer experience and also the employee experience, or EX, because businesses are realizing that customer experience and employee experience really do go hand in hand. So they're looking for tools to improve both of them. And we've been focusing on customer experience for a long time, and not so much the employee experience, but that's really getting a lot more recognition now. The whole idea of happy agents lead to happy customers. Another change is that customer demands and expectations have increased. We don't want to be passed from one agent to another. We don't have to explain our problem over and over. We want our problem solved the first time we reach out. And we want it to be easy to do business with the company. In fact, according to the recent Five9 Customer Service Index that I'll be talking about in the next session, 59% of customers say that they're likely to stop doing business if a company makes it too hard to do business with them and to work with them and to resolve an issue. So hopefully you can turn in for the next session, and I'll be talking with Scott Coleman more about the CSI index. And of course, we have to talk about the cloud. In the past 18 months, companies realized that if they were already in the cloud, they were ahead of the game, and it was easier to support their remote workers. But those that weren't really felt that they were behind a little bit, and they're moving to the cloud sooner rather than later. So we're seeing a big push to the cloud right now. Next slide. So the next step or the next stage that I see, sure. It's what I call the collaborative contact center. So with collaboration tools like video, screen sharing, and document sharing, the agents, customers, and subject matter experts can collaborate together to solve the customer's issues. And they can use team workspaces like Microsoft Teams or some of the other things that are out there. And with the integration of UCaaS and CCaaS, the agents can not only find and reach out to subject matter experts and others throughout the organization and the back office, whether in marketing, sales, product development, they can more easily collaborate and share videos and share screens and documents to solve the customer question or issue. So bringing in video to the contact center interactions is starting to gain a lot of traction, especially now that everyone's used to using Zoom and video with friends and family. So we're going to start seeing a lot more use of video in the contact center. It's really just a natural next step. So in this collaborative contact center, the agent, the subject matter expert, and the customer can collaborate, over the phone, through a video. They can do screen sharing, document sharing, no matter where the expert is located. So it really makes it easier to share information. So for example, a customer calling about an insurance claim may want to show photos of the car accident, what the damaged car looks like, maybe the intersection of where the accident took place. I had a situation a few months ago, not a car accident, but I was having problems syncing my phones on my Mac with my iPhone. And when I spoke to the agent, they had to find and transfer me to someone who was an expert on photos for Macs. Yes, there are people who are experts on photos for Macs. But it would have been a much better experience if, instead of being transferred and dropping the call, if the agent could have just brought in that expert into a collaborative session, so he could have shown me what to do. And I would have been able to fix my problem that way. So that's the type of thing that we'll be seeing in the near future. So bringing UCaaS and CCaaS together really makes this collaborative contact center possible. And we're in early days, but I do expect to see a big increase in this in the next few years. So that's it for trends, and back to you, Beatrice.
Thank you very much. This was really informative, Blair. So I think you gave a really good high-level overview of the trends in industry. And now we're going to connect some dots with some real customer use cases. So I'm going to turn to Joni to start with Vibrant and what it's been doing. Joni?
Hi there. My name's Joni. I work at Vibrant Credit Union. I'm a business analyst. Basically, we were on a UC-CC integration previously, not obviously through Five9. And it was lacking a lot of stability. We had a lot of downtime. It wasn't stable at all. And so we really liked Five9 and we loved what it had to offer. We loved the company and the innovation, but it didn't have that connected piece that we needed. And so we, I think we're one of the first, if not the first, to integrate with Microsoft Teams. And it was really exciting for us. We have no downtime. We have a lot of stability, and we have the way our business works, we're a financial institution, and so we have agents that are basically member facing, and then we have back office, subject matter experts that we need to transfer our members to every once in a while in different departments that support the front line. And so it connected all the pieces for Vibrant.
Great. Thank you very much, Joni. And I think we'll do a deeper dive as part of the Q&A. So for now, I think I'll turn over to Ryan. Ryan, do you want to cover what you guys did with Five9 and Zoom Phone?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Beatrice. So very similar to what Joni was mentioning, we were previously on a UCCC provider. However, we experienced, a lot of instability on that platform. So our decision was born out of necessity. As we did a deep dive into, what the needs we were trying to solve for, we had two very distinct use cases. We had our customers, customer-facing teams that were handling the customer interactions, but then we also had our back office teams as well as our internal collaboration that we needed to solve for. So we took the avenue of, providing two best-in-class solutions where we implemented Zoom and the Zoom Phone to provide our UC, and then, Five9 to be able to handle the contact center aspect of it.
Perfect. And I actually wanted to say a few words since I'm in the product team. I think Joni and Ryan were both, there's two types of integrations that we support as part of the UCaaS integration with the Five9 contact center. And there's, by the way, for those who are interested in a technical deep dive, there is a session going on right at this moment, unfortunately competing with this one, a deep dive session on how to deploy Microsoft Teams and Zoom Phone and RingCentral integrations with Five9. But in general, to let me maybe set the stage, so there are really two parts to the integration today. The first part is what we call, the marketing term we use is Telephony Connect. And essentially, Telephony Connect is a SIP trunk that we set up between Five9 and the UC vendor, so Microsoft Teams or Microsoft or Zoom Phone or RingCentral. And what it allows us is kind of the baseline. It allows the calls that get placed between the Five9 agents, the Five9 contact center, and the UC contacts, typically both directions, to flow amongst between us and the UC vendor toll free. So the benefit for the customers, and I think Ryan was kind of alluding to that for his company, is that that traffic is free of charge, right? There are no PSTN charges. So that's kind of the baseline that we typically implement at customers. And on top of that, we have developed what we call our UC adapters. So we have a Microsoft Teams adapter, a Zoom Phone adapter, a RingCentral adapter. They all pretty much kind of work the same way. And what those adapters do is, in addition to the SIP trunk setup, they allow the Five9 agent address book that the agents see other agents in today. They essentially we integrate using Zoom or Microsoft APIs, and we import the customer's directory. So we import the Microsoft Teams directory, or we import the Zoom Phone directory, and as much of the information that is available to us through the API. And that allows the agents to not only see other agents in their directory, in their Five9 address book, but they can now also see their UC contacts, so the back office employees that they need to collaborate with. And of course, we integrate the presence, right? So the agent really has at his fingertips the ability to search by name, search by department, search by job title, if it's available in the vendor API, search by multiple filters, the type of back office employee that they need to either call or transfer a customer call to, cold transfer, warm transfer, or conference, like Blair was mentioning for our use case, right? Conference an actual expert into the call between the agent and the customer. So those are the two parts we essentially offer at Five9 today. I think Blair kind of alluded to the fact that it's just the beginning of this consolidation and integration of contact center and unified communication, and I agree. I think there's going to be a lot more tighter integrations, and we have some exciting ideas on the roadmap that maybe we can get to a little bit later of things that we see coming. So anyway, sorry for the little bit of a digression here, but I kind of wanted to set the stage. And I wanted to go back for a second. Maybe I'll start with Ryan first. Ryan, can you speak a little bit to, you guys implemented the Zoom Phone Telephony Connect, right? So the SIP trunk between your Five9 contact center and Zoom Phone. Can you speak a little bit to that experience, how it worked, what it took, the results that you see out of the integration?
Yeah, of course. So, as we were going through kind of our use cases and how we wanted to roll out the implementation, there was a couple scenarios that came up. Our business is dominated by the toll-free numbers and getting those calls, routed to the appropriate place. So, we pass calls over from our main line that's hosted on the Ucas platform on Zoom Phone over to a couple different contact groups that we have on the Five9 platform, and then, vice versa, passing calls over from the Five9 side. We've had a few, use cases that we've kind of alluded to where there's instances where we just simply need to be able to get the subject matter expert on the phone. So it allows us to seamlessly pass it back over, that way. If we have an instance of, a specific example was we did a lot of paycheck protection support for our banking clients, and we had a very diverse customer set. So there was instances where, we needed someone that could speak Mandarin to help the customer through the, application process, and no one on the customer facing teams was there to support. So, through the UC, we were able to, identify someone that was able to assist with that, and then get that call seamlessly, transferred over to what Blair had alluded to, minimizing touch points, getting it to the right person. They knew what the call was about, and how to assist. So, it's definitely been integral in helping both, customer experience, but agent experience as well, and not having to, bounce it around or search for an expert for minutes on minutes.
Yeah, I think it's time is of the essence in the contact center, right? I mean, agents are measured typically on how well they address the customer questions, but also how quickly. So yeah, I think it's all about finding the right expert. Can you also say a few words, Ryan? You were explaining to me how the actual SIP trunk deployment, right, happened, what it took. I believe both the Five9 teams and the Zoom Phone teams were involved.
Yes. So we implemented professional services for both Five9 and Zoom. And I can't say, enough about each of the respective teams, but most importantly, when we were trying to arrive at this decision, knowing that we were having two distinct platforms, the fit between the two and how they work together was, a huge driving force in our decision-making process. And so anytime, there was a, decision that could potentially have downstream implications on either platform, both of those parties came to the table, and worked together to arrive at the best holistic decision. So, can't say enough about how the two parties worked together throughout the implementation process.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Ryan. That was helpful to understand what you guys went over in the last few months. Joni, I know you mentioned the other day as well that you guys had a very interesting video use case. I think Blair alluded earlier in our presentation to the fact that we all know that video is becoming ubiquitous and even starting to become a little more pervasive in the contact center. I think you guys had a very interesting use case. Can you explain what it is?
Sure. So we utilize our video platform is through a vendor called Pop.io, and we integrated them within Five9. We used a company to help with that integration called Mnet. And basically, we have the Pop.io, we're the first ones that integrated with Pop.io on our phone system. And so an agent doesn't have to say pause on the Five9 platform to then answer a call on the video and vice versa. So it's all seamless. And so it actually goes into a skill in Five9, and it gets presented to the agent, and then they answer it. And then it takes them to, their Pop.io screen, and then they utilize the video platform that Pop.io already has. And then we haven't launched it yet, but we're going to have Vibrant Live anywhere. And so that is our mobile. And so it's integrated within our financial institution's mobile app for Android and iOS. And so basically you could use video anywhere that you want to make a video call, whether that's at home or maybe at work or maybe at a kid's soccer game. The sky's the limit. And so it just builds that personal relationship so that you can actually see who you're talking to. And then you can actually sign documents. There's workflows that you can sign on your mobile device. And then in our branches, that's where our video solution also lives. And so you can come into a branch, and we've moved all of our branch staff that did lending per se to a centralized location. And so then you can do everything through video, but you can still kind of build that relationship with our employees. And who knew that COVID was right around the corner? And so the video is even better to have, because you don't have to come in. You can still get that personal touch, and you can do it however you feel comfortable, from a COVID perspective.
Great. All right, you guys are definitely a little bit ahead of the curve, seems like, which I think a lot of customers are going to go in that direction for sure. Good. All right. So I think hopefully that gives the audience a little bit of background here, and I'm going to turn to Tu to open the discussion and see if we have any questions from the audience.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Please feel free to put your questions in the chat here for any of our speakers here. Right now, currently we don't have any, so.
Well, I have a few discussion points too, if you wanted me to jump in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think we heard from, and while people queue up any questions they might have, I think so you had probably a pretty good overview of two customers, right? Joni and Ryan gave you a little bit of an overview there. And frankly, I think on the product side, I do speak with quite a few customers on what exactly they're looking for. And I think what we're seeing is this convergence of contact center and UCaaS, from what I see, is really driven by a few things. One, those tools that you see in the typically in the unified communication space, right, that we all use as knowledge workers, the messaging, the presence, the screen sharing, the video, the meetings, all of that, right? The escalations between them is something that exists in the contact center, but is a little bit more limited. As we said, video is not as pervasive. Of course, presence exists, but only within the contact center. And I'm really seeing, I think, the trend that where it's going to move is that all those collaboration tools are going to need or are going to become even more streamlined between the contact center and UCaaS, right? So an example of that would be we're starting with, agents can now see with our integration the present status of the UC contact, right? So they don't waste time trying to conference in someone who's not even available because they're in a meeting, right? So that's something that's already supported by the industry and by Five9, but we definitely see a lot more use cases just around presence itself, right? So for example, some of the things that are coming soon, and no safe harbor here, not committing to any dates or anything, right? But there are way more scenarios. So for example, if a Five9 agent is on the call, right? We should probably be reflecting in their UC client the fact that they're in a call. You certainly want to avoid having a back office employee trying to reach an agent on Teams or Zoom phone when in fact they are busy taking calls in the contact center, right? So there's a lot of scenarios, and they're very diverse, just around presence, that I think are pretty exciting, because I think they'll make the integrations even tighter. So that's definitely one area. I think we talked about the video in the contact center that is not as pervasive as it could be. That's definitely another area. And then I think the other area that I see is data integration, right? Today, both UC and the contact center use CRM, not necessarily for exactly the same purpose, but to get customer information, right? And I think preserving the data and allowing the data to flow between contact center and UCaaS a little more freely than it does is also another direction, right? So think of CRM screen pops, which I think was on one of Blair's slides. Today, a contact center agent gets a screen pop to when a customer calls in to let them know, hey, this is this customer, and they have the file about the customer. Well, it's something that maybe down the line could also happen between even when an agent is transferring a call to a back office, right? Maybe it's something that could be passed on, the context of the conversation could be passed on to the back office as well, right? So I think there's a lot of information flowing, communication tools, seamlessness areas that I think will become more pervasive and more common. Of course, at Five9, we're always listening to customers because we want to hear what exact use cases they have. So I think that's one area that to stay tuned, right? I think a lot more will happen. Yeah. Another area, and last one, another area that I think we see on the Five9 side is a little bit related, but the companies are organized in completely different ways, right? I mean, companies typically have departments, billing, accounting, HR, and this is data that's very valuable to an agent, right? An agent needs to be able to either see the entire back office and list of back office employees. Typically, when it's a small company, that's what happens. The agent knows everyone by name and they know everyone in the back office. But what we've seen is in larger companies, big enterprises, there is no point in exposing the entire UC directory to an agent, right? No point in the agent seeing the CEO or the executives in the list or seeing departments they absolutely never work with. So on Five9 side, we've recently rolled out some capabilities that we call department filter or group filter that allows our customers to hide some of the departments that they don't want the agents to see, right? So those are sort of the things we're just scratching the surface of. A lot of customers are now asking us more and more. I was just meeting with a customer yesterday and they were like, well, I really need to know what, it's great to know the employee, but if the employee is out, can I know the manager name? So if I'm the agent, I can, if the person's not here, I can, escalate straight to the manager. So I think there's going to be a lot more data syncs that need to happen. And at Five9, we'll be working with the UC vendors, right? Whether it be Microsoft or Zoom or RingCentral or any vendor that we feel we need to support for our customers, we'll work with them on, making sure we have the APIs to pull this valuable data into the contact center.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Beatrice, I think another.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Blair, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I was just going to say another area that's really important is the whole idea of analytics and reporting, because in the past, what would happen if a call leaves the contact center and it goes to that back office person, the contact center loses all visibility about it. So being able to have that tight integration so that the contact center can, have that record of what happened is really important. Yeah,
that's a very good point, Blair. Yeah, the compliance and the compliance recordings, right? That's something that's specific to contact center, but once you're starting to deal with the back office, that all needs to be tracked and you still need to be compliant. And I think to expand to that, I think the data flow that needs to happen between contact center and UC eventually will generate data that can also be used for AI, right? Once there's a lot of data flows and traffic going between the contact center and UC, of course, it opens up opportunities to train AI to solve and simplify some of those flows, right? I can't say we know yet exactly what all those flows will be, but I'm pretty sure there will be major opportunities for AI as well.
Beatrice, we have a question. Matthew, if you can unmute if I don't do your question justice, or if you want to give more description on your questions. But it is about their group has an outreach call to patients specifically with medical equipment. And it seems like some of their people are out in the sticks, as he puts it, with poor cell receptions and not always near Wi-Fi. He wants to know if you've encountered any troubles around the scenario, a poor reception, possibly the caller has technical difficulties, maybe the agent has some problems. So how do we overcome this?
Right. Yeah, and I would say it's probably an issue that's a contact center issue or a UC issue, right? I mean, any of us working for wherever we work from, sometimes our connectivity, when I have my kids on Zoom all day with me, my connectivity isn't exactly the greatest. Yeah, so I think at Five9, we offer multiple options for agents connectivity, and I won't deep dive here, but we offer something called Webrtc, which is an alternative to our soft phone. It's a browser-based connection that sometimes can prove a little more resilient than a traditional soft phone, which most of our agents use today. The benefit of it, by the way, too, is that it does not require software installation, because it's all, the audio is essentially baked into the browser itself. So it's native to the browser. So it's a very good and simple solution. It's an option at Five9. And then we also have a lot more connectivity options, which I won't go into here, but there's multiple ways an agent audio connectivity can happen in a contact center. We can, for example, allow an agent, if their connectivity is too poor, to be called on their mobile phone. There will be a charge, but if their mobile phone reception is better as a backup, that's also an option. And then we offer a lot of SIP trunking capabilities if your company is big enough to support that, to MPLS connectivity and other forms of connectivity that can ensure that the internet pipe is a little more resilient. So yeah, I would advise you talk to your Five9 representative, because we have a few options for those, audio quality / connectivity problems. But of course, if someone has really such a poor connectivity at home, and even their mobile phone reception is not great, there's not a ton we can do. But to be investigated with your Five9 representative. So hopefully I answered that question.
Yeah, thank you. We had another. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's Joni. Thank you, Joni. Joni, if you want to meet, you can tell about your experience with connectivity issues there.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so we use the internet as well for all of ours. We actually had some issues too, because when we put everyone remote, we were utilizing AWS, and their internet we found was sometimes different on their AWS, their Amazon Workspace, versus if they didn't remote in. So we had them flip back and forth and try to rebuild workstations, make sure they were on the most up-to-date version, those kind of troubleshooting methods. But then we also had a couple of branches that we didn't like. We're in Illinois and Iowa, and Illinois has some pretty strict COVID requirements, and so our lobbies aren't all open. And so we utilized some branch locations and restructured them to like training centers and centralized locations. So we were able to move the employees that they didn't necessarily have the best option for internet where they were located. We call the sticks, but we have people that live kind of in the outer areas as well. And so we just relocated them to those locations. So they were still convenient, but then we could control the network a little bit better and the internet connectivity.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback off what Joni was mentioning, we have the same issue. We actually have, I believe it's 3 of our agents that are on the Five9 platform that are able to successfully power their workstation from their mobile hotspot without any degradation issues.
Yeah, the mobile option is always a backup for sure. Yeah. And if your company has a PBX, and again, if you're big, there's also options for the agents to dip into your PBX directly. And so that can be set up with our network and connectivity teams as well. So yeah, a few options, but it's always a hairy problem for sure. Yeah, so two, I don't know if there are any other questions.
No, and we're coming near time. So if there's any kind of closing comments you have.
Well, maybe I'll make a few, and anyone who wants to jump in, Blair or Ryan or Joni. So I mean, I think on our end, you know, we're excited. we really see a huge potential for contact center and your UC solutions to integrate even more tightly and really improve the CX, right? Ultimately, that's what it's all about. I think it's the beginning of the journey. We at Five9 offer some solutions. We think that working with our customers here, we're going to learn way more about what makes the most sense next. And we'll strive to make our solutions flexible, because I think we've learned that no customer has exactly the exact same scenario as another customer. It really varies greatly. So we'll make it flexible, and we'll keep addressing your needs. Blair or the team, do you want to add a few more words?
Yeah, I just think it's so important for the customer experience and for getting that first contact resolution and customer satisfaction. You know, all the metrics that you're looking for can really be improved by doing this integration. And I think it might be a little scary at first, thinking about, you know, bringing in some of your back office people who, you know, maybe don't want to talk to customers or feel like, you know, I can't talk to customers. But I think as companies recognize that customer experience, you know, is something that's the responsibility of the entire company, I think more and more companies are going to be getting on board with this and realizing that this really is the way forward.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback off that, Blair, you know, we're about a year removed from the integration on our side. And so we were talking about this a couple weeks ago. There was three success factors that we were looking at. You know, did we improve the customer interaction? You know, did we make it easier for employees? Like, I know you hit on EX, but most importantly, was stability improved? And I think all three, you know, were a resounding yes. You know, and we said it was kind of a no-brainer decision. You know, we do the same thing again.
Perfect. Great. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. We hope this session was useful to you, and I want to thank very much our guests for helping us out and hopefully giving you a pretty good overview of what they've done on their end. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the sessions.
You have a great CX summit.
Thank you, everyone.